And live from Londonderry, 603 Lacrosse's Russ Moyer joins us now. Russ, you recovered from that long day of fun we had yesterday, or what?
It was great to see the kids compete. I mean, that's what we do it for.
After the game, Coach O'Reilly, who we're going to have on in the second hour, agreed with me when I said that I felt like Pinkerton brought the fight to Bishop Girton. Would you agree with that statement?
I would agree with it. I mean, they went down 2-0 in the first, but they certainly were more physical on the ground early. And, you know, there's an old saying by Mike Tyson that says, you know, everybody's got a game plan, everybody's tough until you get punched in the face.
Yep.
And so Pinkerton got punched in the face, and they answered. And they stuck with their game plan, and they continued to chip away at it. And, you know, anytime you keep the underdog close at the half, it gives them fight, gives them heart. And they had no pressure on them. Nobody expected them to win the game, except for maybe the fellas in that locker room. So, yeah, kudos to Pinkerton for sure. They beat the big boy there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a morning, Russ. How you doing?
Hey, how are you, Coach?
Good, hanging in there. You know, I definitely think that was a big part of it. You know, coming in there with being loose and having no pressure on you definitely helped. But then, do you also feel like, you know, we talked a little bit earlier about the style of play, and I was sitting with my parents up in the stands and we're watching. We're like, wow, they are letting these guys play. You know, I do you feel like that sort of lent into Pinkerton being able to establish themselves and you know, sort of take it to BG a little bit in that first half and keep it close?
I do, because, you know, Pinkerton's style's always very aggressive.
Yeah.
And they like, you know, they like to play physical lacrosse. So once that starts happening, you know, the team that is more highly skilled across the board in that case would be Bishop Girton, you know, 1 through 20. They're a little bit more skilled. But once you bring the physicality into it, it kind of evens things out. And you know, they started off at the X with Brett Datillo, and he's a physical kid, stays out there. He's willing to run through checks. And, you know,
right.
It's almost like you start feeding off those checks that you see out there. And the refs weren't calling some of the ticky-tack stuff. And
right,
I
and
like
you don't get man ups, you don't get a chance to extend the lead, and all of a sudden you start believing, and the kids, yeah. No, I thought that was a huge part of the game that Pinkerton was able to establish that physicality early in the game. And then talk to us a little bit. I thought that, you know, maybe there was a lot of I don't know that BG responded all that well to some of Pinkerton's off ball play and their cutters and things like that. I thought they had a little bit of trouble with that.
They had a lot of trouble with it, and you know, it's one of those kind of scenarios where there would be a BG turnover, the ball would come down the other end, Pinkerton would get their subs in, and then during that period, they would be cutting off ball. I think they got 3 or 4 goals off of that, and you know, that is one of the strengths of BG is their off-ball play. They just didn't show it. They had some unforced errors throughout the game, but that, I think, was the difference maker in the entire game was how Pinkerton was cutting appropriately. Even a couple of the set calls out of timeouts were off-ball cuts that were wide open.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, the coaching staff at Pinkerton did a great job, not only for that game, but for the season. I mean, that team was not very good in the early part of the season. They got much better.
They did. They were on an upswing. You know, I felt like them, and you know, I felt like Sauhegan continued to improve as the year went on. So teams that definitely didn't plateau were peaking at the end of the season. You know, and I thought another key to that game too. I thought goalie play too. Even though Bishop Girton wasn't able to finish it off. You know, Colin Casey kept him in that game early. I thought actually both goalies played very well last night. I thought they both showed up and
I totally
kept them
agree.
in there.
Actually, I commented on it with Colin. Seemingly every shot that Pinkerton took was offside stick.
Yeah.
You know, either off hip and he was coming up with some big saves. I mean, that game could have been Pinkerton by 3 at the half with some of those shots. He kept coming up with big saves. You know, he had the 1-5 hole there early.
Right.
That I thought he could have had because they went low to low.
He dropped to his knee. He dropped to his knees quick,
but yeah. Most of the routine saves that needed to be made.
Well, his angles were very good. His angles were very good last night, and Nick Richard did a great job. He did,
yeah.
And he keyed a couple fast breaks off of his saves. He saved them cleanly and was able to get them out and quick, and at least get them in transition and not let BG set up into their rides, into their traps. That was another thing. In the first half, just the flow of the game, I didn't really see BG being able to set up their 10-man rides, their traps, their things that they normally do so well that they can get a couple cheap goals off of. I thought Pinkerton did a great job of clearing and really valued possession last night.
Yeah, and, you know, one of the strengths of Pinkerton is their close defense, but not necessarily in the ball handling. I mean, Cam Richard is excellent with the ball, but the other defenders are not necessarily known for their ball handling. Last night, they looked the part. I mean, they were able to carry the ball, move it when they had to, make the right decisions. Again, early on, the first quarter, they struggled a little bit on the clear. After that, they just did it with ease.
Yeah, they were finding and also in the middle of the field, which tends to be a dangerous area for BG. They're able to trap in that area and get guys, and they were finding cutters and they were handling the ball. So a lot of credit to those guys for showing up and handling the pressure.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Russ, quickly, and again, Russ Moyer is our guest. He is on the scene in Londonderry, right, Russ, for the festival?
Yeah, we're up here. There's, oh my goodness, I mean, God knows how many kids are up here. You can barely find a parking spot, but this is the kind of level it's fun to watch the competition as well. I mean, you're seeing the smiles on teams that are the seventh tier playing for nothing, but they're smiling, they're having fun. This is if you got nothing to do today, stop over and check it out. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can help out the fight against cancer as well by donating to Play for the Cure and a couple other ways they can raise money down there as well. So great cause, great event, 300 teams, 35 programs being represented in Londonderry today. So you got some free time. Weather should be nice today as well, right, Russ?
Yeah, it's gorgeous right now. It's not
Yep.
It's not too hot. You know, sometimes at these things you get worried about the heat because kids are sitting out in the sun for 4 or 5 hours, but it's perfect right now. I mean, this is exactly what the good Lord set up for us. Dynamite.
There is a rumor that Sean LeBlanc of Londonderry is going to be named the Division I head coach of the year. Any validity to that, Russ?
Well, if I had a vote before last night, it would definitely be Coach LeBlanc, and I think he does deserve it because he took a team in Londonderry, made them a competitor, and I'm lucky enough to see what he does day in and day out, and he's established a culture at Londonderry. I do think he's Coach of the Year, but he certainly has competition now when you start talking about Coach O'Reilly. He really brought that team together as well. But I think there is some validity to it, and Sean is well deserved, and he's a great young coach, and hopefully he stays on the scene for quite a while because I think he'd be one of the next great ones.
And now you get to boss him around, right, for the next few months?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, just like when Coach Hettler and I are together, I'm the assistant, and probably Coach LeBlanc will be the head coach at this point now that he's got Coach of the Year.
Oh, come on, you're being too a co-head coach. Co-head coach.
Always. All right, I'll take it.
Hey, Russ, really enjoyed working with you, not only last night, but really this entire season. You've been an asset to this show, and I appreciate the time for sure.
I love being a part of it, and thank you so much for doing it last night. It was a lot of fun.
All right, enjoy the weather, my friend. We'll talk soon.
All right, you guys have fun.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
That's Russ Moyer. Check him out, 603 on Facebook for